Hey folks, this is GreenyXI, welcoming you right back to Let's Play Umineko. This is episode 136. In the last episode, we discovered we played through the entirety of Bernkastel's game. It was such a to-the-point sort of game. And then we figured out that we had to actually figure it out ourselves, and I sort of guessed my way through. Battler, Rudolph, his father, and Kyrie, his stepmother. Which makes sense, because Battler's coming back after 6 years. Why is he just suddenly coming back, you know? This might explain a lot. So, let's get cracking and see if... I think it's going to sort of explain what's happened. Guess we'll find out now. Somebody... Is anyone there? Oni-chan! Ah. Angie flew out of the guest house, sobbing. Oh yeah, where's she been? Is there anyone still alive on this island? When she checked the cousin room earlier, it had been completely empty. However, she remembered that she hadn't seen Battler, George, or Maria's bodies. What she didn't know was whether this meant they were safe, or whether she was about to be reunited with them as corpses. Where are they? Where? Answer me. She dashed around through the rain. Where was she going? Nowhere in particular. The lost little sister dashed around in circles, searching for her brother. Drenched with rain and all alone. I think I prefer it being just pure visual novel, to be honest. Eventually, I thought I heard my brother's voice from beyond the bush. No, it wasn't just his voice. I heard George Oni-chan's and Maria Oni-chan's voices too. I called out at the top of my lungs, but they didn't answer. But it's okay now. They're right there, just on the other side of the fence. I could even faintly see them through the fence. When I ran around the fence, I found myself standing in front of a shed or something. It must be a shed to store tools for those rose gardens. The three of them were standing in front of the shed. Oni-chan! I cried out, but my voice didn't reach them. Even though I yelled so loudly, something felt very wrong about all this. When people hear a voice, even when they pretend not to have heard it, their bodies tend to show some sign that they've noticed. However, there was no trace of that in the three of them. Even though I was screaming so loud, it truly wasn't reaching their ears. The instant I understood that, my dash towards them slowed and came to a halt. Though we appeared to be in the same world, we were actually in different worlds entirely. It was like seeing someone on TV. Or was it more like seeing a ghost? I could see them clearly, but as far as they were concerned, I didn't exist. After all, look. Even if I stand in front of them, their eyes can't see me. If I try and touch them, will I really be able to? What if my hand just went right through? I was so scared at the thought that I could do nothing but stand there in shock, even though I was so close to them. Damn it! I don't have a clue anymore. Someone must have snuck in from outside the island after all. And they're massacring the Shuromaya family. No matter how we lock ourselves in, someone always gets killed. Ooh, it's the work of a witch after all. Everyone calm down. Let's calm down and think. No one exists on this island except those with a direct relation to the Shuromaya family. That doesn't make sense. After all, we've just seen several murders. That'd be impossible for any one of us. Well, that's true. But is it really? Maybe we've just missed something. Missed something? For example. That's right, maybe someone was playing dead. Since we're the only ones on this island, the culprit must be one of us. That means someone we thought was dead was actually faking. But Aniki, that's impossible. Every one of the corpses was checked by someone. There's no way any of them were faking. I don't want to think about it. But what if those corpse inspections were also faked? Oh? It could have gone like this. There were multiple culprits from the start. Then one plays dead, and the other lies and confirms that the first culprit died. Then the culprit who played dead keeps on committing crimes, creating the illusion that some stranger has snuck onto the island. Do you still suspect someone in the Shuromaya family of being the culprit? Dr. Ange was killed, so it's probably safe to say that he isn't the culprit. And we can consider the examinations performed by a doctor like him to be the most reliable. If so, then it's fair to say that the people whose death Nanjo checked were almost certainly dead. Who did Nanjo check? Genji's, Klaus and Natsui's corpses, Shannon's corpse, Goda and Kumasawa's corpses? Think back to the beginning and the bodies in the dining hall. Of those 6 victims, Dr. Nanjo only inspected Genji-san. But didn't the rest of us check the others? Yeah, but Dr. Nanjo didn't actually inspect them himself. What are you talking about? How the hell could our parents have survived after being killed like that? Anyway, what do you think you're saying, Georgianiki? Wouldn't that mean one of our parents is the culprit? That's insane. They were killed right at the beginning, and so many of them. How can you accuse our parents of being killers after that? I won't let anyone, not even you, suspect and slander our parents after they've been killed like that. Sorry. I know my mama was really dead. So does that mean George Oni-chan's parents or Battler's parents were the culprits? Let's stop this, Maria-chan. I must have lost it a bit back there. George Oni-chan wouldn't kill Shannon. That's enough. None of us would kill members of our family, right? So I don't think George Oni-chan would lie and say his parents were dead. Not if they were really alive. There's no way George Oni-chan would help out in a crime if Shannon was going to be killed. Calmly, as though answering a quiz or a riddle, Maria spoke to George. Then with a blank look on her face, she turned to Battler and spoke. Battler, you saw your dad's and mom's corpses, right? Yeah, I saw them. We all saw them, right? Those pitiful, blood-stained. I think you're lying. Huh? Where the hell did that come from? Because that way, it all makes sense. Back in the dining hall, Battler's parents weren't dead. One of them killed Aunt Natsui and Uncle Klaus, locked the door from the inside and waited in that room. The other one took over the murders after that. To break open the closed room at the guest house, they needed to have an accomplice inside. That was Battler. That explains everything. Enough! Stop it, Battler-kun. You too, Maria-chan. Finally, all the pieces fit together and the wolves and sheep puzzle in my head. Oh yeah, she was good at that. The culprits are Battler's family. Oh. Am I right? What are you talking about? Correct. He's been a bit defensive, ain't he? Battler. The voice came from behind Ange. She spun around, surprised. There, covered in blood, yet wearing cheery expressions, were Rudolph and Kyrie. This is twice in a row where they have been really, well, like the masterminds. Uncle Rudolph, Aunt Kyrie, I'm so glad you see. After saying that much, George realised what his words meant, and his face twisted into an expression of shock and horror. Maria wasn't surprised. However, she showed no joy at having her answer proved correct. And as for Battler, Ange saw it. That terrible expression. One that she would never forget as long as she lived. It was a demon smile. A hideous demon that she'd never see twisted its face in a foul grin, and the truly horrible thing was that she saw it on her brother's face. Rudolph and Kyrie lifted up the guns they had been holding behind them. The barrels pointed at the foreheads of George, who staggered backwards, and Maria, who grinned as though she was beyond caring what happened next. Wow. Just the 3 culprits left. There was a flash of lightning and a crack of thunder. Nothing more could be heard. Then as George and Maria were snapped around by that roar, the strings holding them were snipped. The 2 dolls fell into puddles with a splash and stopped moving. Dad? Mom? All of this occurred right before Ange's eyes. Ange, who stood stunned beside them, wasn't visible to their eyes. They guffawed, overcome with laughter. Then right in front of Ange, they started joking and complimenting each other on their kills so far. The 3 hideous faces, the faces of her family, made Ange want to cry and vomit at the same time, and she felt as though she would suffocate. Ange dashed away, covering her mouth. She wanted to escape the disgusting laughter coming from her beloved family as soon as possible. So was this game made intentionally for her by Bernkastel so that Ange could stop having the happy game the Battler was showing her beforehand. Then she slipped and fell face down in a puddle of mud. She didn't try to get up. In fact, she instead chose to cover her ears to block out the disgusting laughter that she could still hear. As she did, from the shadows of the fences and bushes in this inky black rose garden, several dark things slipped into sight. Ooh, what? Angie looked around in surprise to see eerie black shapes appearing from all over the garden, and slowly surrounding her. It was a crowd of people with goat heads. Their outfits were all different. Some wore suits, while others were dressed casually. I mean, okay. We'll imagine. However, all of them were covered with darkness, and all of them had goat heads. Angie, bewildered, accidentally let her hands fall from her ears. By now she couldn't hear that disgusting laughter. However, in their place, she could hear the words spoken by the goats. Kyrie and Rudolph are the culprits. We never hear them talk. Battler is the culprit. Battler is the culprit. Battler, culprit, theory. Battler's family, culprit, theory. As the goats continued to mumble in eerie voices, they surrounded Angie and began to draw nearer. They all pressed around her, each of them naming Angie's family as the culprits. At first, everyone joined in on the Eva culprit theory. The sole survivor from Rockenjima got almost all the wealth to herself, so such a theory was only natural. Why was Ashurmaya Eva the only one who escaped to Kuadorian? And why did she refuse so stubbornly to talk about what happened that day? It was decided that the Eva culprit theory fit all these facts. Yeah, but in this fragment, she's a bit dead, isn't she? However, when Eva died of illness and people learned that all the vast wealth she had created by unscrupulous means would go to Angie, public opinion, or rather the forgers, created and spread a new culprit theory. This was the Rudolph's family culprit theory. If it was normal for everyone to come to the family conferences, why was Angie the only one who didn't come this time? Did Rudolph's family have some reason for not bringing the young Angie with them? They did take Battler, but he wasn't Kyrie's son. Then when it was revealed in some magazines that Kyrie's family had close ties to a massive gangster organisation, all eyes suddenly gathered on Kyrie herself. The truth of how Rudolph had made a killing out of fraudulent business practices was also laid bare. And almost immediately, the couple became thought of as the most suspicious people on the island. Hideyoshi and Eva's company might have been heavy-handed at times, but at least it had operated within the law. However, the more Rudolph's company was investigated, the more dirt was dug up. Furthermore, testimony was dug up about various scandals involving party tickets from the time Rudolph and Kyrie were students, and it was clear that they were far more suspicious than Eva's family. And so, in a flash, the Rudolph's family culprit theory expelled the other conspiracy theories, including the Eva culprit theory, and reigned as the greatest of them all. It wasn't really because it was more plausible than the Eva culprit theory. They'd just gotten bored of the old theory and wanted a new sensation. The goats seemed to bend and undulate. The sky rapidly turned white, becoming a ceiling lit by fluorescent lamps. Oh, whoa, no, that's new. That's quite weird. The goats had changed completely, becoming the shapes of girls wearing goat masks. All the girls were wearing the same clothes. It was a uniform. The uniform of St. Lucia Academy. Did you hear? The real culprits were Rudolph and Kyrie. I heard. Yeah, I knew there was something suspicious about them leaving their kid behind. Didn't Ashurmaya Eva say herself that she was poisoned to death? Isn't it obvious who was behind that? Must be nice for her. She gets her whole family's riches all to herself, right? I always knew the Rudolph's family culprit theory was right. I always thought there was something wrong with Ashurmaya-san. Whisper, whisper, whisper. Rudolph and Kyrie are culprits. Isn't Battler a culprit too? Rudolph's family culprit theory. Rudolph and Kyrie are the killers. They tried to get the family wealth all to themselves, but Eva killed them back and they failed. But in the end, Ashurmaya Angie gets everything anyway, doesn't she? Rudolph and Kyrie are the culprits, of course. Rudolph's family culprit theory. Rudolph and Kyrie and Battler are the culprits. Rudolph and Kyrie and Battler are the culprits. They say in your family were the culprits, Ashurmaya-san. What do you think of that? Hey, what do you think? But in the end, you get all the family wealth to yourself, don't you? Even at the end, Ashurmaya Eva never told you anything, right? I always knew that girl was suspicious. This also explains why Eva hated you so much. Hey, say something. Tell us what you think. She really is a creepy kid, isn't she? Can't you at least tell us what you think of this theory, creep? A blade of air swept over me as I crouched down, holding my head. Oh. Kill the goat girls. In a flash, the illusion of female students with goat heads that surrounded me shattered. I was curled up in a puddle in the rainy rose garden, surrounded by goats. But then those goats were also sliced in half, and the upper half slid to the side. It was like seeing a master swordsman slicing through a stick of bamboo. This way. The voice came from that black cat. The black cat with the bell that had guided me here. Incredible that it can talk. But that doesn't matter now. I dashed after it. The goat shrank back. A hole opened up in the encirclement. The black cat dashed through it. As I hurried through it, the goats began to chase after me. Countless heavy footsteps thundered behind us. Where are we running to, Mr. Cat? The cat ignored my stupid question. Where are we running to? It's obvious. As far away as we can make it. However, there was an unbelievable number of goats. It wasn't just the group chasing us. There were probably goats hiding throughout the rose garden, and everywhere we went, a group of them would appear and block our path. Each time we bumped into them, we ran down a different path in this maze of a rose garden. So I didn't even know which direction we were running anymore. It couldn't be. We aren't running around in circles inside a massive crowd of goats, are we? When we ran into the arbour once more, I learned that my fears were justified. The 4 paths that led from the arbour were all blocked by a crowd of goats. Of course, the path we had come down was also blocked by our pursuers. There was nowhere to go, and nowhere to return to. We were finally trapped. Mr. Cat, what should we do? We're surrounded. The black cat glared at the goats that surrounded us, standing on guard. It's all over for us. At that moment I found myself floating in the air. A massive arm, large enough to crush my entire head, had grabbed my collar from behind. Before I could even think to cry out, I saw, right in front of my face, a pair of strangely glowing red eyes, and a massive mouth with jagged teeth and a foul breath. The mouth opened wide, and as though it was a separate creature, a bizarre tongue stuck itself out. Then it spat words at me. Rudolph, Kyrie, and Battler are the culprits. Rudolph and Kyrie played dead, and Battler lied when he inspected them. Then one of the parents carried out the murders up until the second twilight and hid under the bed in Natsui's room. Battler killed Shannon and then assisted in the murders in the guest house. The other parent carried out the guest house murders. This is the truth. Then that gaping smelly mouth slowly began to close over Ange's head. Counter. It's possible to form a logical theory other than the Rudolph's family culprit theory. A blue flash sliced off the top of the mouth that was trying to eat Ange's head, sending it flying. I fell into a puddle, along with the goat that was still grasping my collar, though there was nothing left of it above its chin. Without any hesitation, the goat stretched out their thick arms as though they'd been given a second chance to snatch his prey for themselves, and they rushed towards me. All of them spoke in unison. Anything besides the Rudolph's family culprit theory would be impossible. Absolutely impossible. It's possible to form a logical explanation other than the Rudolph's family culprit theory. For example, a theory with George's family as the culprits is possible. Well, Eva, we know, maybe. She's got a motive. Well, all the adults have really, all the parents. A red flash and a blue line became blades of wind that passed over my head, doubly slicing the arms of a goat that tried to pick me up. I think the next goats dashed, not towards me, but towards the black cat that was protecting me from behind. As I sat on my butt, staring up towards the rainy night sky, the massive goats were in the air right above me, fighting the black cat or someone. A George's family culprit theory is impossible. George can't kill Shannon, so he can't be a culprit and he can't lie when checking corpses. No, it is possible. A culprit's defined as one who murders. No one ever said they have to murder a character who appears in the story. In other words, if George committed murder outside the island, sometime before this crime, he could be a culprit without killing anyone on the island, and it would be possible for him to lie. The deep red curves bit into the goat. Its massive body was knocked into the air, became about 7 logs of flesh and was thrown into the rose bushes. This time, the terrible force of the attack shocked the goats. They faltered, shook, stepped back. Finally, I understood. That red slice. It had come from a weapon that could draw red slashes. No, it also drew blue slashes just a second ago. It was a massive scythe that could speak both types of truth, red and blue, at will. I looked up at the sky, then let my head hang down backwards. She's back! There was no black cat there. It was a girl, holding a large scythe. How was that? This level of reasoning is possible for Frodo Erica. When the crowd of goats recognised the girl who called herself Erica, a stir passed through it. It was clear that this person had enough of a reputation to make them tremble. Erica lifted me up, flew into the air and landed on top of the arbour. Then she let go of me, and still wielding her scythe, made an elegant curtsy to the crowd of goats surrounding us. This is probably the first time most of you have met me. Allow me to introduce myself. Pleased to meet you, everyone. I'm Frodo Erica, the detective. If you're one of those blockheads who can only think of the Rudolph's family culprit theory, stand down. If anyone thinks they can counter my argument, please feel free. Of course, I won't be holding back either. Is she actually going to help Battler? The goats all howled at once. It seemed to be a cry of shock, of fear, or possibly of awe. The goats surrounded the arbour, chattering, but not moving any closer. None of them had the courage to stand against this detective, this witch of truth called Frodo Erica. Good grief. All those thousands, and this is the best you can do? None of you has the courage to fight Frodo Erica in battle of words? Too bad. Let's put an end to this. Then again, I, Frodo Erica, don't have enough spare time to encounter all you blockheads one by one. I'll let her clean up the rest. You're up. Ooh. When Erica cried out, red cracks opened in the dark night sky. It looked like the spiderweb-shaped fissures that appear when a glass window has been struck hard. Or was it more like a blood-red spiderweb? A laugh rang out throughout the spiderweb-covered world. A witch's laugh. It sounded somehow familiar to Ange. And there, standing on the spiderweb and gazing down on the goats who must have looked like trapped bugs, was the witch. Oh! They're all coming back. You forget me, and you call him the ruler of Rockenjima. You forget me, and you think Rudolph is the culprit. It was the witch who had hidden inside of Eva. A witch of the future, who would one day call herself the Endless Witch after the cat box closed over this world. Who forgets Eva Beatrice and calls himself the murderer of Rockenjima? How impertinent. On this island, who lives and who dies is totally up to me. All the wealth and gold is mine. Everything about October 4th and 5th in 1986 is mine, to do with as I please. It all belongs to me, Eva Beatrice. Eva swung her one-winged staff at the crowd of foolish goats beneath her, proclaiming their deaths. The ceiling of spiderwebs that covered the heavens plummeted, and more spiderwebs seeped out of the ground at the goats' feet. Then the webs from above and below met, and thousands upon thousands of goats were caught in their grasp. Then as Eva swung her staff, it swirled, around and around like egg yolk being mixed in a bowl. Eventually it was all packed into a massive blood-red goo. The moans of goats drifted out from inside. That entire crowd had been compressed into a meatball a few meters across. I'm thinking of time compression like from Final Fantasy 8 from that. So you morons doubt that I'm a culprit? Reaching the Eva culprit theory and giving up there is good enough for the likes of you. If only you just get crushed and disappear. I love how violent she can be. So they're saying it's probably not the Eva lot. It's probably not the Rudolph lot. Who else could it be? Squelch. No other word could do that sound justice. After sucking in all of those goats, the spiderweb ball vanished into thin air with a squelch. After that, there wasn't even a trace left. The dark rose garden lay there without any sound but that of the falling rain. Eva drifted down from the sky. Your aunt will always be on your side, Angie-chan. I'll never let anyone insult your family. Aunt Eva. I know I should be grateful. And yet, it really wasn't easy for me to believe that Aunt Eva was my ally. Eva realised that too. Don't worry, I'm not doing this because I want to be thanked, but I'll always be on your side. See you later. She giggled, spun around and vanished. Now that she had already left, I started to regret not saying even a thank you, so I figured I should at least thank the other person who had saved me. Thanks for saving me. Who are you? I already knew her name. What I was really asking was why she had saved me. I'm Ferudo Erica, the detective, and I'm also a witch. A witch? A witch of truth, one who searches for the single truth. And so are you, right? Those 2 days, 4th and 5th of October 1986, I've been so desperate to know what happened that I took a step off the roof of that skyscraper, drifted through several witch games and fragment worlds, and abandoned myself to this long journey with no rewards. All I want is to know what happened that day. All I want is the single truth of that day. I want to know too. Don't feel like we're getting anywhere, really. Searching for something like that is what makes you a witch of truth. So you're just the same as me. That's why I came to save you. I want to know just what happened on that day. No one will tell me. No one knows. But I know something happened that day. I'd give up anything to learn what that was. That's the one thing I need to know no matter what, even if it kills me. So tell me. You know, don't you? You know what happened on this island, right? Does a witch of truth expect to be given the truth? If I told you that so-and-so was the truth, would you really just accept whatever I said? No, I wouldn't. What did Battler-san show you today? Today, Oni-chan showed me a bizarre Halloween party. It may have been heartwarming and a lot of fun, but it definitely wasn't the truth. Didn't Battler-san show you something and say it was the truth? It's not. That couldn't be the truth. Sometimes other people will try to mislead us by claiming that they know the truth. But a real witch of truth must continue to pursue the single truth without being led astray. That's why you can't accept the fake truth that Battler-san's trying to force on you. You care about finding the one real truth more than anything. Yeah. Oni-chan's trying to confuse me. I felt it this whole time. Even though he knows everything about what happened that day, he won't tell me anything at all. How is he any different from Aunt Eva, who mocked me and refused to tell me anything, even until the very moment of her death? Why won't Oni-chan tell me? Good question. Why? Why won't he tell me? The dam inside my heart burst. Why won't Oni-chan tell me what really happened? Why? Why? I'm the only one who doesn't know. No one's telling me the truth. Tell me. Tell me what happened that day, Oni-chan. Oni-chan. I cried out at the rainy night sky. Hot tears poured from my eyes, but they were covered by the cold rain that beat against me, so no one other than me would know that they were tears. No one would know my pain and sadness. I'm always the one. I'm always the only one alone. All alone. Someone tell me. Tell me what happened that day. She's getting desperate. And I am too. I want to know. It's been like 8 arcs. No one can tell you. After all, you can only find the truth if you look for yourself. Where's the truth? How can I find it? Everyone's hiding it. They won't tell me. I'll find it myself. So please just tell me where the truth is hidden. Very well. I can tell you. As that voice rang out, the world bent and swirled. This is probably strange to say. My favourite image from this game is stunning. I love cityscapes at night. After blinking several times, I realised that the world had become a sea of stars. No, that's not quite right. There are stars up there in the sky, but those lights below me aren't stars. They are lights from building windows, street lights, car lights. I was floating in the dark sky, over a city lined with skyscrapers. I can't tell you what the truth is. However, if it's a question of how the truth can be reached, I can show you the way. You. Various bad memories are jumping out at me from the back of my mind. That's right. I was chained in place in that strange theatre and forced to watch a repulsive fragment where Mom and Dad committed murder. I never said that that was the truth. But I heard what you said with the red. I'll say it just for you, that this is all truth. You yelled out and interrupted, stopped me from saying any more. Wah! I was about to say that this is all truth. Isn't necessarily so. That this is all truth isn't that don't make sense even when you say it like that. Just how far are you willing to go to mock me? I apologise, but I did want to test you. Test me how? I wanted to see if you were ready to accept the truth, no matter what it may be. The truth can betray you sometimes. In fact, there are times when it shows itself as the thing you desire least. That fragment I showed you was probably the worst one you could possibly imagine. However, if you lack the strength and the courage to withstand even something like that, then you aren't fit to reach the truth. I have no comeback. Finding the truth is my goal. I just want to know what happened on that island on that day. I don't like to think that I only want to hear what I want to hear. Am I really prepared to face the bloody, unbearable truth that probably awaits me? If I find the truth, it'll mean having to look straight at my family's tragic final moments and accepting them as they are. And if I do accept that, it means abandoning my faint hope for a convenient miracle. The idea that one of them might have survived somehow and might return even though 12 years have passed. I know a miracle like that would be completely ridiculous. But if I'm honest with myself, I have to admit that I've been comforted by that faint hope these past 12 years. I want to know the truth, but I want one of them to come back. Those two wishes contradict each other. By learning the truth, I'll be forced to accept that no one's coming home. The truth is always cruel. At times, it can even cut down your hopes. Most of the time, humans don't realise the costs of learning the truth. I simply wanted to see if you had the necessary resolve. I must choose between my two contradicting wishes. Will I find the truth and abandon my optimistic hopes for my family's return? Or will I give up on the truth and keep waiting for the family that will never really return for all eternity? Will I freeze up and let myself be fooled by the childish illusion my brother made for me? Tell me, Ange, you truly determined to learn the truth? I am. And your resolve will not falter? It won't. After hearing my immediate reply, Bernkastel stared at me. Are those expressionless eyes of her measuring my resolve? Now that my brother is covering up the truth even after becoming Game Master, the only thing I can rely on in my search for the truth is a path that Bernkastel can show me. Deep in your eyes, I see the glint of one who seeks the truth. Will you tell me? Will you show me the way that leads to the truth? Yes. I'll guide you. Did you forget, Ange? I'm your guardian, right? How long has it been since I last heard Bernkastel use that word? Yes. I haven't heard it since the very beginning, when I met her in this future world and became a witch with her as my guardian. That's when I became the Beatrice of 1998, the one who could defeat the Beatrice of 1986. You are the Beatrice of 1998. Ange Beatrice. I became your guardian and recognised you as a witch. However, you aren't an endless witch like Beto. A witch of truth. That's right. You're like Erica, a witch of truth, who will seek the single truth, undeceived by any illusions. I guess the witch of truth, Ange Beatrice, has the power to reach the single truth. Yes. However, up until now, you've been unable to use this power. Do you know why? I do now. Even though I searched for the truth, I unconsciously resisted learning the truth. Exactly. Finding the truth was your goal. But at the same time, you were unconsciously afraid that learning the truth would mean losing that miracle of your family coming back. So you didn't have what it took to stretch your hand out to the single truth. You're completely right. I have to admit that I was naive. I must admit it. My entire family is dead. Now that I've acknowledged it, I must expose why they died and who was behind it. Thanks. The fragment you showed me in that dark theatre was there to open my eyes. Many games have gone by, waiting for you to become a true witch of truth. But I think there was a purpose to it all. After all, now, in this final game, you really have become a witch of truth. Tell me, what happened on that island that day? I won't ask you to tell me directly, so guide me. What can I do to reach the truth? It's a bit too chilly here. Let's move. To where? To a place better for drinking tea. Of course. What more do you want? A massive applause filled the hall. It was an applause in honour of a good fight. An applause in honour of Bernkastel. Yes, Lady Bernkastel's game was another splendid one. We're going to reveal her game board to everyone here, so have a go at it. It's pretty awesome. You solved it in the end all the same. A game that no one can solve isn't a game. The main point is whether it was fun or not. It's fun. I guarantee it's quality. Same here. At first I thought there was no way anyone could solve it, but the way you can use one confirmed purple statement after another to narrow down the suspects made for a great puzzle. Come everyone, gather, gather. Just what sort of game is Lady Bernkastel's mystery? That's for you to find out for yourselves. Objects resembling chessboards were set out on several tables. Crowds gathered around each, looking down with interest. Oh, it's like a logic puzzle. Quite an orthodox one, don't you think? So this is what a witch's game is like. Looking at it like this, it's just a game. But for the pieces, it's a massive series of crimes. Indeed it is. It would not do to waste such a rare gift from Lady Bernkastel. Let's take this opportunity to enjoy ourselves. Still, this is a tough one. It almost makes you wonder if it was made to be solvable, doesn't it? If you don't start by believing that it's made to be solvable, you won't get anywhere. A battle of wits doesn't begin until you trust the questioner and believe that it can be solved. And we guarantee that it is. Come on, have a go at it. With Battler's encouragement, discussions over Bernkastel's mystery game began at each table. The mix of humans and illusions in heated debate was truly a sight to behold. Beto and Bernkastel sat in a chair far off from the discussions. Would you like some tea? Any kind of calming black tea for me. With milk, if you don't mind. As you wish. Is there anything you need, Lady Bernkastel? Please add some dried plums to some black tea. That's a trick to making terrible tea drinkable. I mean, adding plums to it, that's odd. Come now, don't sulk. We're honestly complimenting your game for being such a fun one. Beto, who had emerged victorious in the game Bernkastel had put all her heart into, was in extremely high spirits. I'm not sulking. My face just looks this way. Well, yeah. When I managed to spot Bern's own kind of warmth in that expression, I felt like I'd climbed to the pitch black top of a snowy mountain to find a beautiful star. Well, sorry for having an eternally frosty face. How difficult it is to compliment Lady Bernkastel. No matter what you say, she always takes it in a bad way. That's okay. She's the type who'll keep thinking about it for hours later on. The type who lies in bed relishing it while hugging her pillow. Yeah, that's Bern for you. Beto and Lambda Delta giggled together. Bernkastel shrugged and looked away. Seriously though, that really was a fun game with a twist. You think so? Thank you. You could have made it unsolvable, but you still made it to be solved. You couldn't have done that unless you planned on playing fair and enjoying the game. I like games where I win no matter what. Games that I might lose are just a pain. Later, I'd like to switch sides and try another one. I'll make a puzzle and we'll see if you can solve it. A game for you to win against me. Of course, I'll use all the know-how I've picked up in my fights with Beto to make it super hard. I'm not giving up my winning streak that easily. Both you and Beto have such an interesting way of thinking. How's that? A game is just a means to decide who wins and who loses, right? When you create one, your own victory should be your highest priority. So why would you go to all the trouble of making a game you might lose? What fun is there in a game you always win? That's not even a game. Victory and defeat. It's fun because you're taking part in a fair competition, balanced between those two outcomes. A game isn't a fight, it's communication. You have to enjoy the means. If you manage to win in the end, well, it's just an added bonus. Finally I clearly understand the difference between how all of you think and how I think. What do you mean? For you, this is communication. It isn't for me. The world you live in must be pretty savage. And what about you? Isn't it the same for you until you understood Beto's game? An eternal game is eternal torture. Have you already completely forgotten about that pain you suffered? There were days I did think that. But now it's all been resolved. I won't complain about stuff that's in the past. I'm impartial, you might say. That's the critical difference between you and me, I think. Your eternal torture was something you could laugh off and forget. Mine wasn't nearly so trivial. That's all there is to it. I don't know your history. It sounds like you had it rough. To think I'm getting sympathy from a mere former piece. I must be getting old. Bernkastel, sipping the black tea that Genji had brought her, gazed up at the ceiling with a faraway look. Battler may not have known her history, but even he was able to understand a bit of how she felt. You being tortured by someone right now? You kidding? I'm as free as can be. I'm not bound by anyone's shackles. Then that's a good thing, isn't it? At least things are better for you now. True. It's much better now than it once was. Though I'm on a long, endless journey to escape from boredom. Is she talking about, like, how she had it as Rika? Is she meant to be Rika? Then at the very least, us meeting here should have been a good thing for you. Indeed. Even the taste of defeat can keep my boredom at bay somewhat. No, no. Battler shook his head and laughed. We're friends who've enjoyed fighting in a fair game. So? If your days are filled with nothing but running away from boredom, feel free to drop by our place every now and then. We'd love to welcome a friend, and we'll be able to set up everything needed to help a friend escape from boredom. Excuse me. You think you can prepare welcome interesting enough to help me, the great Bernkastel, escape boredom for even a single night? I do. That's what it means to be a friend. We won tonight's game, so the next time you come, we'll switch sides. This time we'll entertain you with one of our games. Of course, we don't intend to let you win easily. We'll challenge you to a devilishly twisted logic game. It won't be something you can solve in a night. It'll be good enough to make you stay for months, racking your brains over it. You would entertain me, the great Bernkastel, as a friend? Yeah, we would. After talking with you, even this dried plum tea is starting to taste sickly sweet. What a pain. I heard from Bito. Sounds like this dried plum tea stuff is one of your favourites. Next time, we'll throw in some high-class dried plums covered in gold leaf, so make sure you come again. If you really plan to do that, try finding some better tea to start with. I'll never feel like coming again if you keep serving tea like this. Oh, come on. I guess the tea you're used to drinking is pretty damn high class. Next time, why don't you invite us somewhere we can drink some of that? Me? Invite you over? It's only fair, right? We've treated you. Now it's your turn. Yes, it would be only fair. So let's have the game be fair too. Let's switch sides and start a new game. I'm looking forward to it. We won this time, but who knows about the next? That's some confidence you have there. And yet I'm afraid you're mistaken on one point. What's that? My game isn't over yet. I wonder who will win in the end. After taking one more sip of her black tea, Bernkastel set her cup on the table, wearing a thin smile. The tea here is far too sweet. It was a mistake to have any. Thank you, Genji. Take this away, please. As you wish. Bernkastel asked for her tea to be taken away after taking only 2 sips. Battler smiled, realizing that this was just Bern's way of being shy. Battler, why are you smiling with such a foolish, optimistic face? If you really think this final game will be nothing but a happy epilogue, then I'll have to invite you all to a proper game for bringing this tale to a close. Battler, you forget too easily. Don't you remember in whose hands lie the key to this final game? The inside of my nose itched. I've never regained consciousness to a smell before. Slowly, I opened my eyes. Wait, when did I lose consciousness in the first place? I don't remember going to sleep or falling unconscious. That's right. Bernkastel invited me to come to a place better for drinking tea. That's why my memory gets hazy. And since the smell of black tea is what woke me up. Where am I? Aurora's study. Aurora's. I hate to admit it, but her taste in tea really is excellent. I was sitting on what appeared to be a sofa in a dimly lit study. Bernkastel sat across from me, and right before my eyes was a beautiful cup filled with hot steaming tea. Isn't this place... I remembered. I've been here before. Wasn't it... How pleasant it is to see you again, child of man. Yes, that voice. Just hearing it brings back memories. Long time no see, my master. Does feel like a while. I didn't think I would get the chance to welcome you into my study again. To think that that game of yours is still continuing. It won't be continuing much longer. This is the end, the true final game. This was the study of Fethrin Augustus Aurora, the majestic witch of theatre going, drama, and spectating. Once in the past, I was summoned by her and ordered to be her reader, her Miko. Don't tell me you want me to read again. I wasn't the one who called you here. My Miko brought the two of us together. Why? Isn't it obvious? To show you the path that leads to the truth. You'll show me the way, Fethrin? Well, I am the witch of theatre going, though I dislike interfering with the actors on the stage. So would you rather watch Battler's boring play, or my exciting one that manipulates the branching paths of fate? I know you can't stand even a minute of boredom. As Fethrin rocked her rocking chair, she looked up at the ceiling and chuckled. She clearly holds some key to the truth I seek. And yet you are literally the one holding the key. I can do nothing but tell you where to find the keyhole, child of man. I don't remember saying anything out loud, but Fethrin answered my question as though I had. Come to think of it, that's right. Fethrin can read the thoughts of a mere child of man like me as easily as she can hear me speak. I guess that'll help us get to the point quicker. Oni-chan did give me this key, but then he just said something about how I'd know how to use it when the time was right. He didn't say a word about what it was used for. Do you two know? What is this key for? Oni-chan said it was something very precious. Explain, my Miko. No way. You explain. You demand that your master explain? You got to go on stage every now and then. Otherwise you'll just get senile all the faster. My. And I just enjoyed some long overdue time on the stage when Ange was reader, which should last me several centuries at least. Tell me, what's this key? A physical manifestation of the decision you're about to make. This tale, this game, will end when you are asked to make a certain decision. What you hold there is the act of your decision embodied in the form of a key. The physical manifestation of my decision? Exactly. Battler was probably planning to end it by putting you in front of two doors, both of which can be opened by the key. Then he would ask you to choose which door to open. He must have told you that much, right? Didn't tell me anything at all. He just kept saying things like, you'll know when the time comes. No one will tell me anything. Not Oni-chan, not anyone. Battler probably wants to respect your right to make a decision of your own free will. But Angie, you should have at least started to figure it out by now, right? Figure what out? There's an answer Battler wants you to choose, isn't there? Those words made my heart jump in my chest. It was what I had been thinking. Oni-chan's clearly trying to trick me with a vague tale, almost like a daydream. That'll take me even farther away from the truth. At the 1986 family conference, everyone had a wonderful time as they faded away. Everyone's smiling down on you from heaven, so you don't need to feel alone, even in 1998. So give it your all and live on by yourself. I've clearly sensed Oni-chan's desire to end it like that. Every time I ask him about it, he dodges the issue and says something about how the decision will be mine in the end. That's right. It may appear as though Battler has given you a fair choice, but he's actually scheming to get you to choose a certain one of those two answers. You've already seen the farce of a tale that he's using to do that, right? That bizarre Halloween party, with everyone acting so strange and friendly that it was almost sickening. I've already seen more than enough of that tale, so sickly and sweet it makes me want to vomit. Where Shomai Kinzo showered me with affection, where his children swore to support each other, where everyone was filled with happiness and hope. He's trying to trick me with those chummy scenes so he can keep me away from the truth. He's such a coward. True, it might be easy to call him a coward from your perspective. But remember, if you're a player in this game, and if Battler's the game master, what does that imply? In the past, Battler was a player and Beto was the game master, and they each fought for their own respective truths. So what's happening this time? I'm a player and Oni-chan's the game master. Could it be that I've misunderstood everything from the beginning? Oni-chan said he'd tell me what happened on that day, so I assumed that following him meant I'd learn everything. Isn't that the same as, say, Oni-chan accepting everything Beto said about the crimes being the work of a witch? What a stupid mistake I've been making. So this game has always been a fight between me and Oni-chan? I'm surprised you joined in without realising that. Battler really is sly. He quickly started up the final game without letting you realise that simple fact. Well, it was the same back in Beto's games. Battler was drawn into a game before he knew what was happening. Before he even knew how to fight. That's why I taught him how. And now it's exactly the same. You were forced to start this game before you understood anything about it, and I've come to tell you the truth. To tell you who you're fighting against and for what. I was too shocked to speak. And finally, I realised what I needed to accomplish in this game. I've always been passive. I was sure that Oni-chan would tell me everything. So I naively thought I just had to believe whatever he said. I was wrong. That's not what this is. This is a battle. Between me, the one who wants to reach the truth, and Oni-chan who wants to trick me and chase me out into a 1998 where I'm all alone. All this time, I've kept on saying that Oni-chan was foolish and naive. And now I see that I was more naive than anyone else. And yet Bernkastel didn't sneer at me. On the contrary, she looked at me with that cold gaze as if to say, so you've finally taken your first step. Now do you understand your own purpose, and the purpose of that key? I gripped the key Oni-chan had hung around my neck, and for a while I shook with an emotion that even I couldn't understand. Now that I know Oni-chan tricked me, it would be easy to hate him. But hating him would be missing the point. After all, this is a game between me and him. Oni-chan has done nothing but make the optimal moves for winning against me. If games aren't a playful way to communicate, if they're the process that decides who wins and who loses, then there can be no fair games. The best strategy is always to trick your enemy into defeat without telling them the rules, before they even know what's going on. In that sense, Oni-chan hasn't done anything wrong. He's using that sickly sweet illusion to trick me and force me out into a lonely future. They'll be the only ones having a good time in the cat box. I'll be the only one chased out. Thank you. I'm grateful. I think I've finally been able to truly open my eyes. Please, don't hate Battler. After all, one-sidedly tricking your opponent is what game masters do. I know. Oni-chan took the best option from his perspective. That's all there is to it. So I need to make the best possible moves from my perspective. My goal is now clear. October 4th and 5th, 1986. What happened to Rokkenjima on those days? I need to tear off the veil covering the truth. Nothing more, nothing less. Oni-chan gave me this key, probably because he wants me to put it into the keyhole of his choosing. That's why he keeps showing me this sentimental illusion. But I won't be fooled anymore. I'll open the door I want to open. Certainly, this kind of tale is more to my liking than one where Ange does whatever Battler says. Then this time, I'll let you run the show from here on out. Tell Ange. Tell her where the keyhole that leads to the truth is. Tell me, where's the keyhole? Very well. First off, have a seat. I'll go and get it for you. When Featherin rose from her rocking chair, my vision seemed to twist and bend. What is this? Some kind of interference? Why now, when Featherin's about to show me something important? Why is my head getting suddenly... I dug my fingernails into my knees, clenching my teeth to keep from losing consciousness. However, the world just kept twisting more and more. Except for the feel of the sofa beneath me, I couldn't sense anything at all. Nothing at all. Lady? Huh? Looks like they've arrived. The door opened and Hachijo Toya appeared. What's going on? This isn't the world of witches, but the world of humans. I was sitting on a sofa and Amakusa was behind me. There's no need to feel confused. Featherin and Hachijo Toya are the same being. To her, the difference between the two worlds is a trivial thing. To put it in the words of that theatre lover, it's like having a slightly different background behind the stage. So there was no reason for me to feel hesitant. Should I call you Madam Hachijo this time? How complicated names are. Even though both of us are still here just like before, you have to wonder what to call me. True, calling you Featherin would be a bit rude to you now. For an actor, the name of the role they act is only temporary. Precisely, child of man. Featherin? Amakusa's eyes went wide as he wondered what I was suddenly talking about. I ignored him and continued. So what are you going to show me? As I spoke, my eyes were caught by that heavy-looking object she held under her arm. At a glance, it looked like an encyclopedia with a fancy binding. Do you know what this is? As Featherin spoke, she set the heavy object on the table. The first thing it reminded me of was a grimoire. The heavy book had a mysterious, mystical feel to it, like something Maria Oni-chan might carry around, and the most remarkable feature of it was the large, sturdy lock that held it shut. Why would someone go so far to keep people from reading a book? Why don't you take it and observe the back? The back? I flipped the heavy book over on my lap, and as soon as I saw it, I gave a small gasp. Eva. Ashuramaya. Ashuramaya Eva. Without a doubt, those words were written there in Roman characters. What is this? Aunt Eva's diary? Could this be that rumoured? Do you know something about this? Just a rumour. They say that President Eva had a secret diary and that she always kept it locked up. They say she took it with her everywhere she went. At least that's what I heard from some of the other bodyguards. A secret diary? Why is that here? It was in the hospital room where Ashuramaya Eva passed away. This diary was hidden beneath her bed, or behind her bed, so it remained in that room for some time after her death before it was found. Then by coincidence, it was probably found by someone who worked for the hospital, or else a patient or their family. Of course, by that time, there was a huge movement dedicated to the Rokkenjima mystery. A locked diary found in the hospital room where Ashuramaya Eva spent her last moments would be absolutely priceless. The discoverer probably handed it over in secret to one of the witch hunters who would be able to accurately determine its worth. Luckily, the witch hunters who got their hands on this book were all noble and upright people. Not content to boorishly destroy the lock and reveal the truth, they simply satisfied themselves with the fact that the truth of that day slumbered just on the other side of the mysterious lock. Thanks to that, Eva's diary has remained undamaged to this very day. It's already known that Natsui, wife of Kraus, the oldest son of Kinzo, sealed up all of her complaints and repressed feelings by writing them down in a diary, which she treated like a sort of charm. So Aunt Eva did the same thing? It's possible, at least. Opening up a diary like this would be a pain, even if he did have a key. It's sealed up tight like a corset. Amakusa was right. This wasn't a diary made to be casually opened and reminisced over. It's probably safe to assume that she used this diary to forget things by writing them down and sealing them away, just like Ashuramaya and Natsui did. Then she brought it with her into the hospital room and hid it behind the bed without telling anyone about it. Don't tell me that diary is... You saying Aunt Eva wrote down what happened that day? By reading its contents, you'll probably learn everything. However, we don't know where the key that unlocks it is. I jumped. Then I looked down at my chest. That's where my brother hung that key. Huh? It's gone. The key's gone. What's wrong, lady? What key? It's been hanging from my neck the whole time, hasn't it? I never noticed it. You had a key hanging from your neck? I understood almost immediately. In the world of humans, I haven't found the key. The me with the key is on the game board in the world of witches. Make me the me with the key. I'm gonna unlock the diary. Featherin lifted a finger, spun it around, and the world twisted again. Don't tell me the diary won't be in this world. When I returned to Featherin's study, the key popped back into existence, hanging from my neck. But at the same time, the diary on my lap popped out of existence. Where'd the diary go? It should exist somewhere on the game board. Since it's one of the keyholes you're to be given, it must exist. Did Oni-chan hide it somewhere? Since Battler wants this to be a game between you and him, it probably isn't hidden completely. What do you mean? Even if Battler thinks of the diary as a king, he mustn't lose. There would be no game unless it exists somewhere on the board. In other words, it's somewhere in the Ashuramaya mansion. Or you may already have been given an opportunity to witness it, like how a swindler has already hidden a trap in microscopic letters on the first page of a contract you sign. If Battler follows the customs of the mystery genre as the game master, clues must be shown. So the choice that leads to Battler's defeat must have been shown. Ange, try and remember. You should have seen Eva's diary in Battler's World already. In that instant, from the back of my mind, drifted the very first scene of this final game. In the chapel. Yep, I knew this was going to come. It's the one that was getting buried with Beatrice. A book was lying on the altar, a book with a lock on it. As soon as I showed interest in that book, my brother suddenly grew stern and told me not to touch it. That was Aunt Eva's diary. That's right. I show my Eva's diary, the book of the single truth, with the truth of that day written inside it. The book of the single truth. Is the truth really inside it? After all, there's a chance that it's just something Aunt Eva... I'll say it in red. Ashurma Eva's diary, the book of the single truth, has the truth of Rokkenjima during October 4th and 5th, 1986 recorded within it. We're gonna finally find out what actually happened after all this time. Oh yes, good ending point. So I'm guessing next time then we'll be going in and checking the book out, right? Oh, this is gonna get good. We're finally getting the big revelation. For some reason, I was just wondering if we'd still have, tips, the question marks and Tea Party and stuff after this arc. Who knows? Okay, it's back to them. But that'll be next time. So, this has been Greeny XI. Hope you've enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again in a bit, when we see what happens now that Ange knows where the book is for the real story. Thanks again for watching, folks. See you again in a bit.